Verbs in the passive voice allow the action to happen to the subject instead of having the subject do the verb. So in the sentence, the boy was being taught by the teacher, the subject, the boy, is receiving the teaching. Often, but not always, our sentence will have an agent, here by the teacher. The passive voice for present system tenses, so that is the present, imperfect, and future, are very similar in their formation. So this video will cover the passive voice for the imperfect tense. You may remember that the imperfect tense represents an action that is continual in nature in the past. So what I mean is that we aren't talking about a simple past action, but one that happened over a period of time. So for an hour yesterday, the boy was being taught. The imperfect tense could also refer to actions that happened at multiple times in the past. So despite his repeated failures, the boy kept being taught. And it could be used to show an habitual action in the past. The boy used to be taught. To conjugate a verb into the imperfect passive, you can use one of two methods. So we'll do the easy way first, and then I'll show you the nuts and bolts later. The easy way is to take the active imperfect tense and then just make it passive. You may know that the imperfect tense in Latin, here's the active form docebat, he was teaching, is actually the present stem doce, this is the meaning of the word, teaching, plus the imperfect tense signifier, the infix ba, was, and then the active personal endings. The T ending here means the subject is a he, she, it. English likes to rearrange the order of these to he was teaching. To make docebat passive, we just need to substitute the passive personal ending, tur, in place of the active one, the T. So we get docebatur, he was being taught. If the verb is ducebamus, we were leading, we swap out mus for mur, and we get the passive ducebamur, we were being led. Notice how in English we swap out leading with being led. We still have the ing form of the word in the passive, but now the helping verb being shows the passive nature of the verb. Instead of we doing the action, the being forces the action onto the subject. Now that said, it's often more acceptable in modern American English to leave out the being and just say we were led, as in we were led to the altar, even if we mean the imperfect tense. Since this translation is identical to how we translate the perfect passive, I will go with the more clunky, less idiomatic translation of being led for the purposes of this video. Plus, sometimes it's better to be more accurate in your translations rather than less. So that's the easy way. Swap out the active ending for the passive ending. But that assumes you actually know what the imperfect active is. So what if you don't? Or what if you've forgotten? To form the imperfect, the active, or the passive, you take the present stem, and this is the second principal part without the re, with the only exception being verbs in the fourth conjugation, where the stem is going to end in an ie. Then you add the infix ba. You'll notice that second, third, and fourth conjugation imperfect verbs in Latin have an a ba, where only the first conjugation verbs have an a ba. And then to this, you add your personal endings. For active verbs, it's mst, mus, tis, unt, and for passive verbs, it's ris, tur, mur, mini, untur. So let's put this into action for a first conjugation verb like amo. Our present stem is ama, then we add the ba, and then the ris, tur, mur, mini, untur. And there we have it. Amabar, amabaris, amabatur, amabamur, amabamini, amabantur. And then our translations. I was being loved, you were being loved, he, she, it was being loved, we were being loved, you all were being loved, and they were being loved. The second conjugation verb dokeo goes likewise. We have doke, then ba, then the endings. The third duko, again, goes similarly. Duke, ba, endings. And our fourth conjugation verb audeo has the ie ending at the end of the stem, audie, then ba, then the endings. If you know the active imperfect tense, then this is pretty easy. And in my opinion, this is how language should work. To change the activity of the verb, whether the subject is doing the action or receiving it, we just change the one part of the verb that actually relates to the subject, the personal ending.